Hi Gemini, welcome, welcome, welcome to your energy reading. As usual, you don't have to have any significant Gemini placements in order for these readings to be for you, and you don't have to be watching at the time that I'm publishing this video in order for the readings to be for you. If they resonate, then yay! And if they don't, then I would invite you to take a step back, come back a little bit later, check out the video, and see if it resonates for you then. Also, these readings are timeless and signless. Forgot that little part, but I pretty much just said that same thing. If you'd like to work with me more personally, you know exactly where to find me. You can find me on my Etsy page, A Compassionate Heart, no spaces. All right, let's jump right in, Gemmers. Now, it's interesting, Gems, because as I'm feeling you, you're feeling a little bit hollowed out right now. A little bit, I don't want to say idle. Idle isn't the full word. It's almost like catching you in between jaunts. Jaunts. Why are they saying that word? But why is that word coming in? In between jaunts. So when we think about our Gemini buddies, they're always off to the next thing, right? And very much often 1 minute, 11 seconds, having things overlapping in their lives, going on in their lives. And I'm hearing playing the field, whatever that means for you. Of course, a lot of people have misgivings about Gemini. So when they hear playing the field, they're thinking about you hurting them. But this playing the field, as a reader, I want to let you know the way it's coming through is not necessarily referring to... I just heard some Gemini energy saying, I get hurt too. All right, everybody. Okay, settle down, kids. 1 minute, 44 seconds. But as the reader, as the energy was coming in and I heard playing the field, I was not necessarily getting it particularly relating to relationships because, you know, I'd let you know right away. In fact, it's coming through as just generally speaking. You may have different opportunities for employment going on at one point. You may have your hand in different things at a time, right? But what I'm getting right now, it's almost like that moment where, well, there's nothing going on. You're in between. So I don't know how often that occurs for you, but there's a saying that comes up. We hear it said all the time, the devil makes work for idle hands, right? So the idea is sometimes when we're not doing something or we're like, you know, we don't have anything to focus our attention on or nothing's grabbing at us, we may get existentially bored, right? That's the way I perceive of it in the energy field. It's an existential boredom. And in that moment, that's a moment of truth. Because the moment of truth there is when something is not pulling on you all the time, when your obligations have abated for or subsided for briefly. Who are you? And this is something Geminis, I think, need to work on a little bit more so than the rest of the... And again, whether you are an actual Gemini or not, or have those placements, this reading is for you, it's for you. But you know, more so than the other signs, Geminis tend to have their sense of self dictated by some type of external locus. It's almost like they can't be with themselves. They're so relational that they just can't be with themselves. And that's why a lot of times you will see Geminis, and a lot of them are followers. They follow a lot. And this is much different from their fellow air sign, Aquarius. Aquarius is like, dude, Aquarius, where's Aquarius? Anyone seen Aquarius? Aquarius is out doing whatever it does, ghosting, or I don't know, being somewhere all of its own, and then it comes back. Because they're the messenger, I feel like. They're the messenger that goes beyond the systems here. And then they're all the way out in space. They're all the way out in space, and then they come back into... I don't know, the word firmament wants to come into the firmament, but into the construct here, and then they're like the long range messenger, whereas Gemini, I feel, is the messenger within here, right? But there's nothing wrong with these things, by the way. Some of you are maybe perceiving it in a negative way because you have had experiences with people who you're like, he's a Gemini, and so you may feel a certain type of way. But please, I'm going to ask you to release those, put those projections to the side for right now, 4 minutes, 44 seconds, and understand that we're looking at messenger energy here. right? And so that's why they talked about Aquarius being out there as a long-range messenger, and gems being here. But gems, or whoever you are, whatever you have going on in your life, one of the things that you need to work on is and not even work on, but one of the things I'm going to invite you to consider is who you are. What are you? We already know who you are. You are pure love. You are consciousness. You are literally the extension of source energy, which is a benevolent energy. If you have any other ideas about source, whether it's, oh, well, source wants us to be obedient, that's you putting your stuff on to that energy. So we're just going to ask you to take that back, right? Source is a benevolent energy, and you are just an extension of that source. And you have personality to you. So when you're asked to think who you are, it's almost like a waste of a question. I'm sorry to waste your time with that question, because I already know who you are, and you should know who you are. You are love, and that's it. So let's think, who are you being right now? Right? So in the space that's created, look at that space, like, and nothing's pulling on you. No one's blowing up your phone. You're not feeling like, I got to go do something. In the stillness, can you be still? And in that stillness, what's there? What comes from within, if anything? Do you twiddle your fingers? Do you some people get antsy. I had someone very Gemini, totally Gemini, and I knew it. And then finally, later, as I looked, family member, and finally I looked at his chart, and I was like, over half of his signs were in the sign of Gemini, and the other, rest were in, Sagittarius, and maybe there was one somewhere else. So I'm like, I freaking knew it. I knew it. So trust me, I understand this energy. And he said to me, and they get bored very quickly, he said, I would rather, when I get bored like that, I would just rather go to sleep because there's nothing to do. So this is the thing. When you guys have this space, look to see what happens and ask yourself, how can I let who I am from this higher, this is an extension of source, let who I am come through the cracks? Because if you're talking about distraction, Gemini energy can be very distracted very easily. And as we know, and this is okay in a sense, because the function, there's so much that can be birthed from that. Birthed. I can never say that word. Birthed. So much. It's kind of like greasing the wheels in so many things. It's fun. It's like, blah, 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 blah. There's a function that's served. But for the person who is experiencing that, and we can look at ourselves now allegorically, all of us, it's not healthy to always be distracted. Whether it's because you're hanging out with people all the time, no rest, no nothing. There's always somebody to respond to. There's always an email that's coming up. There's always a text message. There's always that, or tasks. There's always that thing I wanted to do. There's always that thing that someone wanted me to do, obligations, right? Social media, I got to get on here. I'm bored. Let me do this. Let me fill my quiet time with that. Let me hit up this movie and escape, and that, or these recreational drugs and escape. And of course, as you know, on this channel, we talk a lot about the effects of recreational substances, even though you can say they're organic, or, the effect on your energetic field, that's, it's up to you, but just understand there are things that do occur. Whether you want to go out and make things happen, some people make a little bit of mischief, or whatever's going on, or whether you just go to sleep, whatever's going on, your calling today, the message that's coming through for you, whoever you are, is to sit with the stillness. And I almost said sit with the loneliness. I've said stillness, and Spirit saying loneliness. So as we understand, a lot of people struggle with loneliness. They struggle with being alone. These are two different things. You're never alone, okay, first of all, because if you really had your third eye open, you would probably beg for that skill, that ability to be taken away or tuned down, because you will realize, I'm never alone. I don't want to use the bathroom now. I don't want to hang out with people intimately anymore. I don't want to do anything. I'm never going to be nude again. This is the reality of what's happening around us. So I just want you to know that you're never alone. So let's throw that out the table. Throw that off the table. People have a feeling, an experience of being lonely. And this is very, very understanding. The reason why we experience loneliness is simply because we have an experience. Notice I'm not saying because we are. We have an experience of being disconnected from ourself. When you're never disconnected from yourself, but your connection can be blocked by the foods you eat, basically the energies in your field, whether it's from the foods, the things you consume on social media and TV, the activities, the people you consort with, all sorts of stuff. These are things that you're cramming into your energy field, right? And they can, depending on their frequencies, become blockages to the flow of, right? of you, of your realness, your realness, realness. So when we're talking about energy like authenticity, and the guys are saying vampirism is big in this lot. Interesting. Let's talk about that. That's what I know. I'm not making this up because I would never have thought of that. Yeah. When people block themselves or allow themselves to be blocked from connecting with their own sense of self, their own inner authority, their own authenticity, we do see things, like following, like I told you, but also vampirism. They have to get it from somewhere. And we see this a lot, like people are bored, they're twiddling their fingers, they have to go, they have to connect with somebody else. Anytime you have to do that with somebody, you have to be where everybody is, you have to, and I'm not calling out all extroverts here, all the introverts are like, yeah, that's what I'm talking about, right? But I'm not trying to start anything here, guys, all right? But if you're like so extroverted that you can't be by yourself, it is a kind of a vampirism because you're literally needing other people to give you these energies, right? And just because and not to call out my crew, team introvert, but, not to call out the introverts, but you may be able to be connected and whatever you want to say, sure. But if you're at home all the time and it doesn't mean you're actually connected. You could be just distracting yourself in the home space. So the question is for everybody, whoever you are, whatever you're doing, whatever you're about, are you allowing yourself to touch the wellspring? It's so nice. And as I said that, I like touch the energies. It's like a waterfall trickling down and just touching it's like so potent. Are you able to touch that wellspring? Of course you are. But do you even see it, right? And here's the kicker. Here's the thing that we want to leave you with today. If you find yourself, whoever you are, wherever you are, in this gap moment, even if it's while you're sitting there twiddling your thumbs, the only person there at the gate for the flight, you're early. Oops, sorry. You're early and you have nothing to do because you're all checked in. You're sitting there. There's no one there. The internet's not working because the, airport Wi-Fi sucks and just whatever's going on with your phone, or your phone died, and you're waiting to plug it in on the plane. You literally have nothing to do. There's not even a freaking cereal box for you to read whatever, and you know what I'm talking about. You know what I'm talking about. What do you do? And you're not tired and you can't sleep. You're just sitting there. Sometimes Spirit will put you in that position so that you can be by yourself. Not by yourself, because you're not. Again, if you looked around and for reals, you'd be like, and close my eye, right? But who are you? Who are you being? What comes to mind? What motivates you? What are your real passions? Like, who are you? Like, what's going on? Sometimes we have this experience slammed for us a bit after we get out of relationships. Like if you just broke up and now you're like at a loss because you realize, oh my gosh, I was just being someone's girlfriend. I was just being someone's husband. And who am I? Who am I really? All that stuff I thought I liked, and it's not. It turns out it wasn't really me liking those things, because now that this other person's not here, I'm not really doing those things. I'm realizing I'm just loafing about. Whereas, I'm just loafing about, I'm eating pizza, I'm like this, blah, blah, blah. Right? Take note. of that. It's a beginning, okay? New beginning for you.